Hello everybody, today we're going to be going over a logic problem at the IB Math Studies level. So the problem tells us the following propositions, that P is I am tired and Q is I am happy. So part A asks us to write down in words this thingy, okay? Now what I suggest is that we already know what P and Q is, right? But maybe we're having trouble defining what this symbol is, okay? Now, I already went a little bit more in depth of it in my first video of logic, but what I suggest is that first you fill in the symbols and then you fill in the letters. So this symbol right here is actually P and the Q, okay? And now that we have no symbols left and only letters, we plug in the letters and we end up with I am tired and I am happy. Okay, the main tip I want to give here is that you really want to start filling in the symbols first and then the letters, because the sentence gets very long very quick and it can get confusing what means what, etc. And I feel like this is the clearest way to approach the problem. For part B, we need to write down the inverse of P implies Q in symbolic form. Okay, if it says in symbolic form, we can't plug in anything, right? We can't. We're not gonna use any words, only symbols. Now, again, I went more in depth with this in the first logic video, but inverse is simply going to be adding like a not to both sides, okay? So symbolically, if we do the inverse of this guy, we end up with not P implies not Q. Okay, and now for part C. Before I begin, when I was editing the video, I actually realized they did this part wrong. So focus on this part of the clip. Okay, what's written afterwards is like the old clip, and that is wrong. Okay, so focus on this part. For part C, I mean. So we write down in symbolic form the compound statement. If I am not happy, then I am tired. So writing it out first. The first thing we want to do is look for keywords. So here at the beginning I have an if. If I have an if, I immediately need to think of an implication, okay? Because an implication is always going to be with the words if followed by a then. So here is the if, and later on here is the then. The other keywords are not, okay? When we see a not, we immediately need to think of this symbol right here, okay? Now in this example, we know that this is not Q, right? Because we are adding a not happy to the preposition of I am happy. Then I put the implication, right? Here it is. I am tired. And we know that I am tired is P by itself, okay? So this is the answer for part C. However, something important that I need to explain, although it's not part of this problem, it's something that definitely can show up. Let's imagine that our Q would have been defined like this. I am not happy, okay? And even though using my method, you identify that we still have a not, and we immediately think of this guy, you still want to be careful and double check if the original statement already has the not, it's already like with a negative tone or whatever, then the answer would actually be like this. Okay, so that's just a heads up. The not should ring a bell, and you should think of the not symbol, but it's not always the case that you need to add the symbol, the not symbol in front of it. In this example, it was the case. Okay, but just watch out for that. So the answer for part C is this square right here. Finally, for part D, we need to complete the following truth table. Okay. Here they give us I am not happy, but as we have defined just here, that this is basically not Q. Okay. And I suggest replacing it symbolically because it makes it easier to read. So first we fill in the table for not Q. And so if here there's a truth, on the other side there has to be a false. If here there is a false, on the other side there has to be a true, and so on and so forth. The not is always going to be the opposite of the previous preposition, or what it should be, basically. And for Q implies P, the implication will always be false if we have from T to F, then the whole thing is false. Okay? This is the only rule you need to care about when looking at implications. Okay? If you memorize this, you're going to be fine. And in any case, it's actually in the formula booklet, in case you forget it. So, knowing that this is only false when it's T implies F, and the tables we're looking at are this one, and then this one, we say, okay, this first one, it goes from T to T, so it's going to be true. This next one, it goes from false to something, we don't care what, but since it started with false, it's immediately going to be true. I'm just going to pop in true. This one goes from true to false, so the whole thing is going to be false. This one starts with F, so it's immediately true. Okay? Notice that to waste less time with these implications, if it starts with F, I immediately conclude that it's true. Okay? Because in all scenarios where it starts with F, no matter what it leads to, the whole statement is going to be true. Okay? I only need to be careful when looking at statements that start with true. And again, it will only be false if it starts with true and leads to an F. Okay? Just a quick recap, I think it's very important that you start replacing the symbols first, like in part A here, and finally the letters. If you plug in the letters right away, it can get kind of overwhelming because there's a lot in between, and this is just the method that I suggest. Okay, most of these problems are either going to be working down, like making the statement bigger, or like in here in part C, working up. Okay, or simplifying, better said, as we group the words into statements. Group the words into symbolic form. So that's the problem, and I hope it helped.